Okay, yeah. Good evening. I'm going to be calling the meeting to order for the Finance Governance Committee for December 10th, 2024. Madam Clerk, roll call and posting of the agenda.
Member Basua,
Here.
Member Tehran,
Here.
Chair Zaragoza.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on December 3rd, 2024.
Thank you. And please join me to salute in our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers for item B? Items not in the agenda?
Mayor, we do not have any speakers for this item, virtually or in person.
Thank you. Then we go item C. This is City Clerk Department, approval of the minutes, that the Finance and Governance Committee approved the minutes of November 26, 2024, regular meeting as presented. Council members, committee members, any concerns on this item? If not, we need a motion.
I'll move to accept the minutes as presented.
I will second.
Okay, motion by Tehran, second by Basua. Roll call.
Member Basua,
Aye.
Member Tehran,
Yes.
Chair Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, thank you. We go item D1, reports, Public Works, AD 2000-1 Improvements Fund, account closeout and budget appropriation. Recommendation, the Finance Committee recommend that the City Council authorize the budget appropriation of $16,500 within the Fund 500 Subfund 50503801 for the cost of administering the improvement fund closeout and completing a final aberration rebate yield calculation and approved via resolution a declaration of surplus in one of the following three options regarding the closeout and the disposition of the limited obligation improvement bonds, the bonds account associated with the Oxnard Boulevard Highway 101 interchange project, and approving the closeout report. 1, credit the assessment levy fiscal year 2025-26, or 2, call bonds ahead of schedule fiscal year 25-26, and direct staff to provide annual levy credits. And this, number 2, is recommended by staff. And 3, call bonds ahead of schedule, FY 25-26, and direct staff to continue to collect excess with the intention of authorizing additional annual bond calls, thereby reducing the outstanding principal interest. And this is a pre-record item per Measure M. And we do have, Anthony, are you with us? Can you kind of share a little bit more on what we're doing here, Anthony? I know that we're going to close out this item, and staff is recommending item number 2, the call bonds ahead of schedule 25-25, and direct staff to provide annual levy credit. Can you share some more information on this item?
Absolutely.
For us, please.
Good evening, committee. I was fully expected to have a full discussion about this item, given the complexity of the options here. We have multiple options on what we can do with the remaining funds within what is called the improvement fund for this bond. And the improvement fund is specifically the money that was used to actually construct the improvements in question. So in this particular case, it was for the improvements to the Highway 101 Oxnard Boulevard interchange just outside of River Park. The options listed here, 1, 2, and 3, we have listed these options. These are the most straightforward of the options that we can present. However, council is ultimately the body that needs to make the decision as to what can be done with them, with the funds. The first option that's listed here, credit the assessment levy in fiscal year 25-26, specifically means to apply the entire remaining improvement fund balance to the fiscal year 25-26 assessment levy, which would lower the assessment levy in that specific fiscal year by about, I believe, 93%. So it would effectively erase about 1 year's worth of levy assessment in that particular district. Option two, which is the option that staff is recommending, is a different option. It's similar to option three, but it's different in that staff is recommending that we call bonds ahead of time. This essentially means, and Javier, please correct me if I get any of this terminology incorrect. If we call bonds ahead of time to reduce the principal, so effectively we'd be applying the remaining funds in the account to the principal balance on the bond. And then we would then provide a levy credit for the remaining life of the bond because the principal is now lower. We don't have to levy as much on the assessment to pay that payment.
So that kind of helps the folks that are paying the assessment, is that correct?
Correct. So that would provide a benefit to property owners who currently own property and any property owners who happen to own property in the district in the future.
Okay.
The third option that we've listed here is to call the bonds as though you would do it in the second option as well. However, we can continue to levy assessments at the current rate, which would be higher than in option two. It would be the same as what we currently levy. And then what we would then do after that is every year we would then do an additional bond call to continue to apply funding to the principal, thereby shortening the remaining life of the bond entirely. That would not provide any immediate benefit to current property owners, but it would provide the largest amount of dollar savings overall in the district. But it would only be realized at the very end of the life of the bond, which is in approximately 7 years.
Good, okay. Well, a little complicated, but it's okay, I think.
If you'd like, I could get more complicated, but
No, but I think what you shared, that eventually is gonna help the assessment, the folks paying that assessment, which I think, potentially, I think is what we're trying to strive here for.
Within option two, that's part of the reason why staff is recommending that option is it provides the greatest amount of benefit to the largest number of property owners.
Fantastic. Council members, any questions on this item?
I don't have any questions in regards to it. It was explained fairly easily, as easily as it can get. And thank you.
No questions. I appreciate the presentation and the staff report laying it out, and then having the discussion we just had now. Looking at the different options we have, I also appreciate the laying out of the pros and cons of each one and how they interact with one another. I would agree that the second option really seems the most equitable or straightforward as far as the impact that we'd be having here on the most number of parcels or property owners possible. So I appreciate the explanation of all three. Are we looking at is a recommendation that would then go to council, or are we recommending this go directly to council for that decision?
It goes to council, right?
So specifically, what we're seeking here is a recommendation of one of these options. You can either recommend what is currently on the paper, or you can recommend a combination of those, but we are recommending one specifically on the paper. So the reason why we're asking this committee to make a recommendation specifically is because then we have to prepare a resolution for council to adopt, which specifically calls out which option you've selected.
Okay, that was, I guess I could have been clearer on my
makes more
question.
sense, yeah.
Are we making a recommendation to council as well?
For an ordinance to come up.
Gotcha, okay.
So, motion?
If there's no other discussion, I'm happy to move that we accept the staff recommendation for option number 2.
I will second.
And second, okay.
And forward to council.
First by Councilman Teran, second by Besua. Roll call. Thank you, Anthony. Any speakers on this item?
We do not have any speakers on this item, virtually or in person.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, roll call.
Member Basua,
Aye.
Member Teran,
Yes.
Chair Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay, our next item is item number 2, the Finance Department subject update on the Finance Correction Action Plan, FCAP, for closing past audits, findings, recommendation that the Finance Governance Committee receive an update on the Financial Correction Plan, FCAP, for closing past and its findings, and recommends staff forward this item presentation to the City Council. And this is required by Measure M And we have, my understanding, we have Jennifer here. Jennifer, can you give us a little explanation on this item too? Thank you so much, Jennifer.
So since we have been presenting.
Lower your,
Oh,
thank
okay,
you.
sure.
Okay.
Okay. These financial corrective action plan updates have been provided to the committee and to council since 2019. We've been doing them biannually. In 2019, there were 87 outstanding findings. At this point, we have one outstanding finding. So you fast forward 5 years and we still have one finding left only. So what we are proposing is that we no longer give you updates twice a year, but we update you once a year on progress for closing these findings, this finding. We've had no findings in the past 2 years for our audits, and so we feel like progress has been made, it's been sustained. Maybe we don't need to give you these quite as frequently.
And you, Jennifer, I really would like to commend you and staff and our city manager and the finance department, because I know when I first started was, 87 well, but going back to 19 or further with 87 findings, and now we got one, and that we have not found any in the last 2 years. And I think that's excellent. I think it's something that we need to be very proud of, because at that one time, those findings were not that good. That one finding, is that still the one for housing, or I can't remember?
That one finding is the IT-related finding.
IT
And it
related.
actually has 10 parts, I believe. But I don't receive those updates. I believe council received those updates in a private meeting.
And I know the Finance Governance Committee has been working on this items for many, many sessions and so forth, and I appreciate that very much. Councilmember Tehran, any additional questions for Jennifer?
No, I appreciate the update on this one. If you wouldn't mind actually, I do have one quick question or a request. If you wouldn't mind just sharing quickly, as was mentioned in the presentation, about the corrective action plan status definitions. I think we're focusing specifically on those that are completed and those that are in progress right now, as we don't have any other, we have one finding and it falls into only one definition. If you wouldn't mind just touching on that real quickly.
Yeah, certainly. So on slide 4 of the presentation, we had a bunch of different status definitions at one point, including the one that was probably no one wanted to see, which was not started, because I think that's what the genesis of having these updates was because everyone wanted to make sure we were making progress on these audit findings. So that would be kind of the one where everyone was like, oh gosh, you didn't start that. And then we had some that were in progress. So, they take corrective actions, sometimes take a while. So, we're working on implementing them, but maybe they weren't completed yet. So maybe staff hadn't been trained on it, or we were still drafting policies and procedures. And then there was a status finding there was a policies and procedures draft, but it wasn't yet approved by a CFO. And then you get to the status where we finished what we thought we needed to do to implement the corrective action, but then it was ready to be tested. So when it's ready to be tested, the auditors test during their next single audit. So that was one of the statuses at that time. And then after it's tested, and if it passes, then the auditors, we can mark that one as complete.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And one last piece, if we're looking at recommending that this update be given annually versus twice a year, my assumption on this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that we wouldn't have much to talk about if we were doing it too frequently. Is that correct? Not many updates?
That's correct. So I think on slide 7, you can see when you look at the biannual statistics, you'll see we came to you in April with the one remaining finding. Then last year we came twice. We came in February and October, and you'll see it's still the same 2. Then the prior year to that in 22, for calendar year 2022, you'll see we came twice, and it's the same number of findings.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And as the mayor mentioned, I'll just give my thanks and many congrats and kudos to staff for their work on this and collaboration with any other departments who have have a role in addressing these previous findings. And I keep saying that if it was unprecedented that a municipal government would have so many audit findings in the previous fiscal years, it should also be the inverse is true, where it's also well recognized and unprecedented. They've had such an immense amount of progress from those findings as well. So I think it's a two-way street. You know, if we have to acknowledge and see the issues we had in the past, we should also acknowledge the correction of those issues as time has gone on. So thank you for the updates, and thank you for all the work from everyone on staff who's worked on these.
Councilman Basua?
I have no questions.
We need a motion, but before we make a motion, I kept saying over and over and over again, and I'm going to share it again. I still believe this is probably the best city council that I've worked with, and committee members, and the best staff that I've worked with in a long, long time. You know, there's a lot of problems that have been solved here in the city. There's a lot of things that we're doing. We have our priorities. We have a multitude of things that we have done to the benefit of our residents. So I want to thank you for that. Any speakers on this item?
There are no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we have a
I will move the recommended action.
I will second.
first by Basua, second by Tehran. Roll call.
Member Basua,
Aye.
Member Tehran,
Yes.
Chair Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
But before we adjourn, I'd just like to share something. Sydney Rebel, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you come on up to the podium? It's her birthday today. Come on, Mija, get over here. And her sister can come with you. We want to wish her, first of all, right here on the podium, Mija. No, right over here. Right there. The city manager is going to help you. And Mija, you can stand next to your sister. I just want to wish you a happy birthday. I think it's 10 years, number one. And number two, she has a perfect attendance. You want to show your diploma? Perfect attendance. Can you believe that? Thank you, Mija. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And well, I better not say what your dad's going to get you, but
He's
Thank you,
promising you the world.
good job. So we're in good hands. Thank you, Mija. All right. So any items for the future agenda?
No items, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for all of your service to our city and to this committee. It's been a pleasure serving with you, and wish you well in a very well-earned retirement. And thank you to Madam Clerk as well. It's been a pleasure serving with you, so thank you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure as well. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, also, I'm sure you're probably going to be here tomorrow, but I just also thank you for your 4 years of work and helping us out and keeping us in. How many times we say no speakers and so forth, but I thank you for your good work.
And Mayor, again, one more time, it's been an honor to be able to sit next to you and learn from you. Wishing you all the best in retirement, and hope you go on a lot of trips with your family. And to Mr. Parro, our city clerk, best of luck in your next journey. Thank you for all your assistance and for all your kindness.
Thank you, Councilmember Basua. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.